Is there anybody in that thing?
No, he's gotten me through a lot of carpool lanes.
What is it?
This is a space jetpack.
A space jetpack.
That's right. It's from the 60s.
Okay. This is like uber amazing. This is Apollo program?
It's actually from the Gemini program, and the mission was to actually prove that jetpacks would work in space. First with a tether, and if they got brave enough, without a tether.
Yeah, I wouldn't use it without a tether.
Everybody wishes they had a jetpack, and I wanted to make that dream come true. Sometimes you see things like it in movies, but to actually see one in person is just phenomenal. I'm asking $250,000 for this jetpack. I'm pretty firm on that price.
This is really cool stuff. Where did you get this thing?
Through a scrapyard.
You found this in a scrapyard?
A scrapper found it and alerted me that they had it. I told them, anything jetpack that you ever run across, let me know.
Because that's really random. Just in case the Mona Lisa shows up.
Well, their specialty is aircraft and aerospace scrap.
Okay, all right, makes a little bit more sense. Now, the way they made this stuff was amazing. It had to be perfect. If you got 95% done and there was one teeny little screw up, they would literally have a meeting, say, okay, should we start from scratch?
That's right.
So what kind of fuel did it use?
It actually used hydrogen peroxide. So little puffs of steam would come out of these areas here.
So we have jet nozzles that will
push you in any direction.
360 by 360 degrees.
That's right.
And this is?
This would be to go forward, backwards, up or down.
Okay. Going on a spacewalk is probably the most badass thing you can do on a NASA mission. But since the average person will never get the opportunity, owning a piece like this is about as close as you will ever come.
The astronauts were so excited that they actually signed it.
Whoa, Buzz Aldrin, and who's the other guy?
Gene Cernan. He was the primary mission pilot for Gemini 9.
The true pioneers.
Yes.
I mean, that makes it really cool that they signed it. All right, this has got a lot of neatness here. Now, this was a prototype.
Yes.
So they never brought this one into space?
No, this never flew.
Is it a functioning prototype or just a display prototype?
Well, all the electronics are in it. What it's missing are batteries, and there are some condition issues on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of dents in it. And I don't think this is NASA paint back here.
No.
Looks like someone touched it up really badly. It's not often that a seller walks in with something signed by Buzz Aldrin. But the price of something that actually went into space is a lot higher than just the prototype, especially a prototype with condition issues. Well, what do you want for it?
$250,000.
You have a big problem here. It didn't go into space. There's a huge price difference, space, not space.
Right.
The one big drawback, too, is this is a prototype. And you would assume a prototype would be in really good condition because it wasn't used. There's a few people in the world that would buy this. Not me. I'm thinking 5, 10 grand. You're talking $250,000.
Yes.
I don't think we're gonna make a deal. But I think it would be a good investment for you to get this thing looking like it did from the factory. I think you would have better luck selling it too if you did.
I agree. I was really excited with the reception I got here at the pawn shop. Since I didn't get a deal closed today, I would like to look at having it restored.
Earlier today, a customer brought in a flag that may have flown to the moon on Apollo 16. So I called in my buddy Mark to see if he can authenticate it. And if he can, we're talking major dollars.
Hey, Rick. How are you doing? I'm the administrator of the Clark County Museum System.
So this is what I called you about.
Well, now, let's see what we've got here. If this actually went to the moon, this is a cool piece, because in the history of mankind, almost nothing ever has. What's your concerns on this one?
Was this flag on the moon?
Maybe. Now, I've seen a number of flown flags. They were given away to senators and congressmen. You know, given the size restrictions they had on the flights, these are the types of flags that they carried. All of the astronauts were allowed to take up a small bag. It was called a personal preference package. It was 8 inches by 4 inches by 2 inches, and you could take along some souvenirs.
So what do you think?
Okay. Looking at everything here, at this point, if the signatures are right, I think it's a flown flag. It's the right size, it's the right type.
I told you so.
But you're going to have to get those signatures authenticated. I'm not a handwriting expert. I hope you've got somebody who knows a lot more about authenticating signatures than I do on it.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate
Not a problem. Very good to meet you.
Mark.
Thank you.
it. All right. So if you don't mind, I would like you to come back when I have a handwriting expert here. He can check out the signatures. If everything looks legit, we'll start talking money.
I'll see you soon.
I'm a forensic document examiner. It's also known as a handwriting expert. From time to time, Rick calls me. He's looking for certain details that he can't authenticate himself. I'm the man for the job.
I'm just making sure everything's right on this thing, and that's why I called you. Those signatures right there. They could have been auto pen, they could have been stamped.
It's a very strong possibility. All the Apollo missions, they signed very few autographs. These are very busy guys. You know, auto pens are just so common, it's unbelievable.
Oh, this is making me so nervous.
Let's take a look. One thing when you're analyzing the signatures, you got to look at every single detail. It starts with interstrokes, extra strokes, T-bars, I dots, it goes on and on. So we see a lot of feathering here in particular letters. Moving on to the Madeline, same thing. Looking at the T-bar, feathering at the end. You can see it getting darker and lighter. Interesting. Dude's got a very fascinating signature. It's very consistent. I've studied it over the years. Okay, you know what? It's all adding up. This is an authentic piece, no doubt about it.
Wow, that's great. Thank you so much.
Excellent, you're welcome.
All right, thanks.
Hey, congratulations.
We get a high five.
You got it.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah, right.
This is an awesome piece, and I definitely want it. The problem with a piece like this, though, is people always think it's worth a fortune.
What do you want for it?
$23,900.
No.
It has all the bells and whistles.
I know it's got all the bells and whistles. These signatures aren't worth a lot. They're worth like 500 total, okay? The last one of these flags sold at auction for 3,500 bucks. That was on Apollo 16. I think for the whole package, I'm gonna be able to get a lot more. I can go 3,500 for it.
Well, do you think you could go 4,000? Or should I haggle with you just a little bit and start at 5 and we can meet at 4?
I, 4,000. I'm outgunned.
Thank you.
I've never seen that before.
Go right her up, chum.
It's like a Jet A mine trick.
I'm very happy about what I settled for, and I can head to Paris, France. I'm gonna go book my ride.
And 4,000.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Can I help you with something?
Hey, just trying to find out the authenticity of this Meteorite.
Whoa.
So my dad was a big comic book aficionado.
Okay.
And so this was gifted to him.
It's kryptonite.
I didn't use that word. I have a Meteorite. It's been in the family for a while. It was a hand-me-down from the friends that I've talked to. This is the gift from the gods. I'm hoping he's gonna see the true value of this.
This is very cool. Meteorites are really, really neat. I mean, you can really nerd out on them. NASA is always tracking big asteroids, and actually we're really, really lucky that we live on Earth. Saturn and Jupiter are like giant gravitational magnets that end up sucking up most of the asteroids that come close to Earth. If they weren't there, we probably wouldn't exist because we'd be hit by meteorites all the time. So it looks meteorite-ish.
What's this thing weigh, like 40, 50 pounds?
Yeah, you're probably pretty close on the mark there. Feels pretty authentic.
They were just so prized by like all the ancient cultures because up until like 150 years ago, it was really hard to make steel. Okay, it was a very expensive process. But sometimes when they found these rocks, it was this incredible kind of iron that was really malleable. It held an edge, it wasn't brittle. It was just everything about this stuff was amazing. You could build things that no one else could build. Ancient cultures literally thought these were gifts from the gods. That's what makes it so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you have an idea what you wanted for it?
I do. 24,000.
Okay. Sounds like a lot of money, but these are definitely collectible. I don't know exactly how much big iron ones like this go for, but I have a friend that can tell us. He can test it and do all sorts of stuff like that. Maybe the really big ones go for big money.
For sure.
I'll be right back.
I am very confident this is a meteorite, but let the expert take a look at it and really tell me the true value of it. I think it's going to bring a nice penny.
What you got today?
I have what I believe to be a meteorite.
So, this is a piece of iron that's coming into the Earth at up to 100,000 miles an hour. So at that speed, it melts and it forms all these wonderful little depressions, and that's why they look the way they do and they get this little crust on it. So just based on that, looks like a meteorite, but my little space gun, as Red calls it, will tell me what we've got here.
That will prevent you from having children. That's what this thing is.
Oh, for sure.
So stand back, radioactive. So my guess is this comes from Argentina. So the biggest fall of meteorites in known history came from a site called Campo de Cielo. And there are 15, 20 tons of this material that's on the market. So if this is from Campo, we should see about 90% iron and about 9% nickel. So that will tell us where this guy is from. So I just point, shoot, and I have got 89% iron, 10% nickel. So this is a Campo meteorite.
Okay.
So the Spanish found this in about 1570. They think this meteorite hit the Earth somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 years ago.
Okay. So I know meteorites are collectible, but what do they go for?
Meteorite of this size should sell for 50 cents a gram, give or take.
Joshua, do we have a scale around here somewhere?
I think so. Let me go check.
All right. Oh, cool. Just set on the ground. All right, so you look like you're in shape.
Yeah, I've been carrying it around this long.
You brought it in here.
Yeah.
So what does it weigh?
19.7 kilograms.
So you're saying it's worth around 10 grand?
10,000 bucks.
Okay. Thanks, man.
My pleasure.
Okay.
I'll take my gun and go.
All right, so I'll give you 5 grand.
Wow, yeah, that's considerably lower than what I initially walked in here with.
Because you wanted way too much money when you walked in here.
Well, obviously I was going off of other, recommendations. With, how about 7?
You know what? I'll give you the 7 grand. Okay? Just walk over to the counter over there. We'll do some paperwork, and I'll get you paid. Okay?
Thanks. Well, we settled on $7,000, knowing that it is real, and my dad's hand-me-down really was a meteorite, brings some level of happiness. So I'm okay with $7,000.
Hey, how's it going, man?
I've got something out of this world to show you. This is a NASA Space Shuttle toilet seat.
Okay. We have a space toilet seat for a really, really small butt.
Right. You need a good tight seal so there's no leakage.
3, 2, 1.
The actual design for the Space Shuttle toilet seat was designed in the 80s and redesigned after females became astronauts as well. I'm gonna ask for $400 for the toilet seat, and the least I'm willing to take for it is $100 bucks. I think it would be really tough to use the bathroom in outer space. You'd either have to hold yourself down or maybe push from the ceiling, push yourself down onto the seat.
Have you ever used it?
No.
All right. And this is a picture of a space toilet.
Yes.
So how does this thing work?
In space, there's no gravity, so you get strapped in with your feet, and then you've got stirrups that you can put over your legs to help hold you down to keep them from floating off.
So theoretically, if a guy screwed up using this thing in space,
There'd be floating space turds. Do we know if it pushed it out into space?
It does not push it out into space. It just gets collected.
NASA geeks will pay money for just about anything associated with the space shuttle. But a toilet seat? I guess there's a first time for everything.
what's it made of?
It's a polyurethane foam, and they coat it so you have zero outgassing in space.
Zero outgassing. That is a really politically correct word for fart and stinky. Jokes aside, the thing's pretty unique and kind of cool. My big concern is I don't know what to pay for it because I have no idea what the toilet seat market is doing nowadays. All right, how much do you want for it?
400 bucks.
It does look awfully small for a toilet seat. You know what? I know a guy who will know about this. He runs an aerospace museum, so let me have someone tell me it's a real shuttle seat, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Given the uniqueness of the item, I am not surprised that he would gather a second opinion. I'm 100% sure that it's an actual space shuttle toilet seat.
We have a space...
NASA space shuttle toilet seat.
All right. I have to ask, where the heck did you get this?
Well, out of college, I took a job with Sanderson Plumbing Products. One of the engineers that worked on this program offered this to me.
It's interesting. In space, you have to have something that will seal under you. So it's a foam core that is then covered over with a vinyl so that when you sit down on it, it seals underneath you. And if you're in space, you don't want anything floating around if you're using the toilet.
Okay.
So,
Has that ever happened?
actually, yes. Yeah, it's one of those things. There's just, you know, there's glory in space. Going to the bathroom ain't part of that. You know, in fact, in order to design this, they had to go out and measure the backsides of all the astronauts.
Okay. That took care of one end. How was the other end taken care of?
Well, surprisingly, the other end fits into a tube. And in the early days, you had basically sort of a condom end to it.
I feel like I'm talking to my grandparents about sex. Same feeling.
We tend to think of astronauts in space doing experiments and all the really exciting things, but you have to understand that they're also living in space. So when you think about what it meant just to make life bearable on the space shuttle, a toilet was a huge step forward. So what's your concerns on this?
I want to know, was it made for the shuttle, or is it like a prototype, or...
Well, the ones that flew had a titanium insert on the underside of it. That was serial numbered. And the toilet seats were replaced every 3 flights. The fact that this one doesn't have it means that this one didn't fly.
So seriously, Mark, do you think anybody out there actually collects these, or?
Having met space collectors, they want anything.
All right, thanks, man.
Not a problem.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
I
Thanks for letting
appreciate
me
it.
see you.
Thank you.
How much do you want for it again?
$400.
I'll give you $200 for it.
How about 400?
I mean, this is my big problem. Someone's going to think it's off a porta potty.
Okay.
How about $300?
$300?
$300.
$300.
It's his money, man.
You own it.
All right. Right up the seat.
Come with me, man.
I'm very happy with that. And I probably sold the toilet seat for more than a single toilet seat's ever sold.
Hey, what you got there?
I've got some old NASA photographs and negatives.
Okay. Actually, I have negatives.
Yes, with the releases from NASA.
So you got releases for the negatives?
Yes.
Okay. Africa.
It's not the United States.
No, that's Africa.
What did you tell us? Covered up. Yeah, it is Africa. All right. I hate you, dude.
3, 2, 1.
I decided to come to the pawn shop today to try to sell my NASA photographs and negatives. I believe these photographs might have been in outer space, and I believe it's part of history. And I'm trying to sell them for a few hundred apiece. I really don't know what they're worth.
These are amazing. Where in the world did you get these?
I bought them at an auction from Apollo 17. 29 pictures, 29 negatives. Color shot in a black and white of each.
This is incredible. If these negatives are from Apollo 17, that means they were on the moon, and that means they're valuable.
This is the lunar control module and the capsule.
Capsule, yeah.
These are really interesting. Makes you wonder, were they done on a soundstage or really done on the moon?
We'll never know.
All the conspiracy theorists think it's done on a soundstage because you see no stars in the background.
Right.
But I think that's just the way the camera operates.
Right.
Did you want to pawn these or sell these?
Sell them.
Did you have any idea what you wanted for them?
I don't really know, maybe a few hundred per picture.
All right. I would really like someone to look at these because it's a little beyond what I normally deal with. I don't know if this stuff is rare. I don't know if these were in space. I don't know if these are the originals. There's a lot of things I need to know before I can even begin to make you an offer. My friend Mark, he's the curator of an aerospace museum. If there's anybody in this town will know, it's him.
Yeah, that's good with me.
Okay. If these are authentic negatives from NASA, the stars are the limit. I'm talking huge money, but I'm no expert. That's why I have to call my buddy Mark to check it out.
I'm the administrator of the Howard W. Cannon Aviation Museum. In the museum field, I've looked at a lot of stuff over the years. I've been in museums for over 30 years, and Rick calls me up when he gets something that's unusual. Okay, so obviously they're one of the Apollo missions.
Apollo 17.
Ah, okay, good. Apollo 17 was the last mission that we made to the moon. When I was growing up, this was something that defined our lives at that point. It was amazing. You'd turn on the television at night and you could watch guys walking around on the moon. For us, this was all new. This had never been done before. And this is kind of cool because it's the last one of them.
This is the neat thing I want to tell you about. He's got negatives.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Are those the negatives that were in the camera that was used in space?
No.
Okay.
Main reason is they're not negatives. These are positives. When you look at one of these things, it's not reversed colors. If this was a negative, the spacesuit would be in black.
I got so excited about it, I didn't even think. I just I got to call you up right away.
So what you've got here is a NASA press kit. These are the official shots done by NASA. Probably went out to newspapers, magazines, anywhere that they could get publicity.
Now, do you think these are rare at all?
No. I'm sorry to say, they probably did hundreds of these packets. And so there'll be many examples of these out there.
Thanks for coming in, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Well, apparently we don't have anything here.
Don't look like it.
Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. I feel really bad they didn't end up being real. Guy thought he had something worth thousands of dollars, and they're basically worthless. Hey, but on the bright side, I didn't get stuck with them. What do we got here?
That's a piece of Apollo 13 heat shield.
Dallas, we have a problem.
It's Houston.
Texas, isn't it?
I decided to come to the pawn shop today to sell my piece of Apollo 13 heat shield. I think it's priceless, actually, but I'm thinking somewhere around $50,000, $60,000.
Where in the world did you get that?
My father was a model maker for NASA, and when they would get the capsules back, they would encapsulate them like this, and they give them to whoever could get the budget for NASA. I think it's pretty cool because it's been in space.
The fact that a piece of Apollo 13 might be sitting in my store right now blows my mind. Apollo 13 wasn't a huge deal. We'd already landed on the moon twice, but then something went catastrophically wrong. There was an explosion inside the oxygen tank, and they had to MacGyver everything back together and get back to Earth. Apollo 13 is an incredible story. James Lovell and the rest of the astronauts should have never made it back alive. They were literally using a sextant to navigate by the stars to get back to the Earth.
What do you need heat tiles on a rocket for?
It's going so fast that the air rubbing against the side of the capsule creates so much heat from friction, the aluminum will melt if it's just bare aluminum. There's no paperwork or anything with it?
Nope.
They just give it to you like this? Is it written on it anywhere?
Nope.
Yeah, I just don't know if this is something your dad made in his garage, put in some lucite and said, hey, look, son, a piece of a rocket.
Tell what kind of father he was.
If you don't mind, a friend of mine is the curator of an aerospace museum, so he knows everything there is to know about this stuff. Let me have him take a look at it, and then we'll try and figure out a price, okay? All right, sounds great.
Thank you.
So what do we have?
That's a piece of Apollo 13 heat shield.
I'm the administrator of the Clark County Museum, the Howard W. Cannon Aviation Museum, and the Searchlight Community Museum down in Searchlight, Nevada. With Apollo 13, one of the things that happened is, the oxygen tank blew up. That was the one that, didn't make it to the moon and just barely made it back. But on that one, they kept the service module attached to the command module because they were worried about the heat shield. One of the things that they were worried might have happened when the oxygen tank blew up is that it might have damaged the heat shield. If it had, everybody was dead.
It did make it to the moon, though, or they did?
Well, it went around the moon.
Right.
It never came down. They had to. In order for them to get back to Earth, they had to keep going, go around the moon and slingshot back to the Earth. Apollo 13 had to do all kinds of technological work during the flight just to be able to survive. It's probably one of the most interesting missions, certainly the most dangerous. The thing about this on an Apollo, like on a Gemini, this was not individual tiles. On this, the whole heat shield worked as a unit for dissipating the temperature that was being built up as the capsule came back in. They didn't know on Apollo 13 until they came back in whether or not the heat shield was intact.
Just imagine yourself stranded in space and somehow getting yourself back to Earth, and then having no idea whether the heat shield was going to hold up or not. Unbelievable what these guys went through.
So it's definitely a heat shield off an Apollo mission?
It seems right to me that it is part of the heat shield, but unfortunately, because they took these out of all of the missions, I don't know of any way of saying that this was Apollo 13 if it wasn't marked or you don't have something from your father.
If there was some way to prove it was from Apollo 13, there'd be a lot of collectors out there for it?
Yes, it would be huge.
Okay. All right, you're the best.
Thank you.
All right, this is my favorite part.
So how much did you want for it?
Well, I wouldn't be willing to take anything less than $50,000.
Oh, no, 50,000 is not going to happen. There's collectors out there, but they're only willing to spend so much money. So, I'm figuring I'd give you like $2,000 for it.
I'd be willing to come down on it to 30, 35,000, but any lower than that, I just prefer to keep it in my family.
Yeah, I couldn't come near that price. To tell you the truth,
We're just so far apart, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing it in, though. Thanks.
Thank you. They made an offer, and it wasn't a good enough offer for me, so it was very easy to walk away from $2,000.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, guys, how are you? I have some food bags from Apollo 11, the moon mission.
The Apollo 11 lunar food pack. What came in these, moon pies?
Yeah. I decided to come to the pawn shop to sell my Apollo 11 food bags. Our son's going to be going to med school next year, and maybe I'll be able to pay for a textbook.
Where'd you get these?
Well, back in 1969, these were sent to my father as a little gift from a company called Continental Can, and they made these for the Apollo 11 moon mission.
Apollo 11's probably the most famous thing NASA has ever done. I mean, this was when we landed on the moon. This kind of enabled them to eat hot food. I mean, right here we have turkey and gravy. Apollo 11 landed the first humans on the moon and accomplished JFK's goal of getting to the moon before the Soviet Union. And when you're on that important of a mission, you better make darn sure the food is good.
What makes these able to travel into space?
The bags were made out of a 3 mil thick aluminum foil with a mylar coating on the inside to keep the food dry. They would heat seal the end after they loaded the bag. Now, they also sent me an envelope postmarked at Apollo, Pennsylvania. It's the same material, and it has the moon stamps on it.
Okay. So what do you want to do with them, my man?
Well, I'm hoping for $100 a piece.
$100 a piece.
Now,
so you got 4 of them here. You want $400?
That would be really cool. That would be nice.
I just don't see it. Sure, give me one of the bags that Neil Armstrong ate out of with some leftover beef stroganoff in it, and I'm sure it's worth all kinds of money. Right now, I'd give you $50 for all 4.
These were made for Apollo 11.
I get it, but they weren't made for Apollo 11. The ones that made for Apollo 11 went up in space, got torn open, and people ate out of them. I see the value of a souvenir, not a priceless memento from Apollo 11.
You know, med school is going to be really expensive. I figure a textbook, an inexpensive one's at least $100. Let's do $100.
All right, man, I'll do 100.
Got it, bro.
Once I get these bags framed up and looking nice, I should be able to make a decent buck. So long as Chum doesn't shove some chicken wings in there or something.